Oh, perfect. Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, but Lauren, thank you so much for making a little bit of time out of your morning, I believe
Thank
it is.
you.
And
Oh, thanks for having me.
but thank you for coming on to speak to myself all about music and about the band as well. We'll talk about all things songwriting, recording. We'll talk about the band members. But before we get started with all of that, how are you actually doing today?
Great, thank you. Yeah, really good. It's nice out where I am, so it's feeling
Yeah,
like spring finally.
I've just had to turn the heating on because it's cold here in
Oh,
Scotland.
it's chilly. Oh my God. Whereabouts are you?
So I'm right in it's the central belt of Scotland, so it's between Glasgow and Edinburgh.
Okay, my sister is actually in Glasgow right now. She's
Or
visiting.
is she
Yeah.
just on vacation?
Yeah, she's there. Her partner's on like an exchange at the moment, doing some studying there, so she's there visiting for the week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. It's probably, if you jump onto the train, it's maybe 25 minutes, 20 minutes from here.
Oh wow. Wild. Wild
But
timing.
you'll be glad to know, Lauren, you're actually the first Canadian band or band member to appear on the podcast.
Oh no way.
So you've got a lot of pressure. Canada is counting on you. But,
Yes.
I've had obviously a lot of Scottish bands, of course,
Yeah.
England, Wales, Ireland, a lot of American and Australian bands, but no Canadian bands yet. So you're the first one.
Oh, what an honor. Thank
No,
you. Thank you for
no,
having me.
no pressure at all. But
Perfect.
Lauren, what I like to do with all the guests is I go back to the very beginning. So where originally are you from?
I'm from St. Catharines, which is in Ontario. It's quite near Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
And that's where I reside still. I lived in Toronto for a little bit, which is only about an hour and a half away. So I lived there for 5 years. I went to school there, and then I've returned to the Niagara area. Just I really like it. It's very green. It's very quiet, and it's
My
a little more
my
affordable than the big city. So
my geography is terrible. I've got my brother-in-law is originally from Quebec,
oh wow, wow.
and my mum's side of the family, she's got family outside in Victoria.
Okay,
But
nice.
I don't know where that is in relation to yourself.
Yeah, Victoria's quite far. That's on our west coast, so that's in BC.
Yeah.
I've never been out that way, but I'd love to go. It just looks gorgeous. There's big mountains and just beautiful. And Quebec is about 7 or 8 hours driving from where we are.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's like the equivalent of driving from here to probably London.
Yeah,
Down
about
the
like that. 7 hours, 8 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're obviously brought up there. Were you exposed to music from a young age, and like by parents or by siblings? And if so, what were some of the bands you were exposed to from an early age?
Yes, I was very lucky. I grew up in a very musical family. My father plays guitar, he plays bass, and he always played in a lot of kind of blues and rock bands. My mom plays piano. And the two of them would just expose I have one sister, and they would expose the two of us to everything from reggae to jazz to blues to rock. Like they just would expose us to everything, which was really fantastic growing up. And we had access to a lot of musical instruments in the house. So
Right.
I actually began playing violin when I was a little kid. That was the first thing that I kind of graduated or was gravitated towards. And I still do play it. I don't play it as often now, but I still enjoy playing violin. And yeah, they just kind of opened our world of music in all sorts of ways.
What I find with a lot of guests is a lot of guests are lucky to have parents that expose them to music, all different types of bands. A lot of the bands that they grew up on. But what I find with most people is they will get to an age themselves. Normally, when it's they're starting sort of high school age, maybe around the age of 11 or 12, where they discover their own musical taste, that's something that's different from what their parents were listening to. Was that
Yeah.
the case for yourself? And if so, who were some of the bands that you started to discover for yourself?
Oh man, that's a good question. It's funny because I really feel like I just listened to everything. They were very influential in the way that they kind of encouraged us not to listen to one genre only.
Yeah.
They took us to all sorts of different concerts. And my dad and mom, yeah, they listened to everything. So my dad really likes a lot of blues bands and like a lot of rock and things like that. I found myself kind of discovering things like Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins, oh my gosh, Cranberries, kind of just everything though.
Yeah. Do you remember what was the first like professional concert that you ever attended? Do you remember what that was?
I think I was, I think I was about 4 or 5 years old, and my parents took me to see Yanni. Do
Right.
you know who that is?
Don't,
He's he's got this huge orchestra, and he writes all these like huge instrumental songs in his head, and he doesn't write them out, but he can picture all these different parts for his whole orchestra.
wow.
It's really crazy. He's got like percussionists and violinists and like, yeah, everything. And I remember seeing the violin player in that band when I was about 4, 5, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So that's when I took that up.
It's like those crazy composers that they've just got this different mind from everyone else that they can
Yes.
visualize what each part of the orchestra is actually doing. It's crazy, but it's amazing to also see it unfold as well.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. All these intricate parts, and he would come up with all of them. It's wild.
So you started with the violin. I know that obviously from looking at your YouTube channel and all that, you're playing bass guitar and singing.
Yes.
But was there a specific reason why it was the bass guitar and not the drums or the guitar? What was the reason for you picking up the bass guitar?
I've actually played bass for quite a long time. Interestingly enough, a violin is actually same strings as a bass, just flipped like in reverse.
All right,
So I found the bass quite easy to pick up. I played stand-up bass in orchestra when I was younger in high school. And then I played bass in like our school jazz band, and I had a band when I was in high school, a ska band, and I played bass in that one. So I was quite familiar with the bass. Yeah, and I found it easier to do that and sing than be trying to do leads. Like it's my partner Jay and I are really the creative force behind the band, and he has the rhythm locked down. So I knew I didn't need to do that part, and it would be way too hard to be trying to do leads and singing in between. And I've just kind of always gravitated towards bass. So
Was that a double bass that you were playing back then?
yeah, I played a double bass and a bass guitar at different points depending.
It's a wee bit like that movie with Jack Black, School of Rock, where he gets the girl with the double bass and he's like, just tilt it, it's a bass guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
Did the singing come later, or were you doing that around the same time?
Yeah, the singing came a little bit later. Like I've always been in choirs and things like that as a kid growing up and throughout school and that. And I really wanted to do lead singing for a band. I just hadn't really had the chance because in other bands I'd be playing violin and trying to do complex like lead parts. We also have another band that's a synth pop kind of 80s inspired band. It's called Years of the Modern. And in that band I play synth and a lot of lead parts. So I find it hard to separate. I'm sure other people can do it, but I find it hard to kind of be playing lead melodies but then like trying to sing something else. So for that one, we have another singer. And then we started this project, and yeah, I felt like I could finally take on like doing the lead vocals. So it's pretty exciting for me.
For lead vocals and bass guitar, which one are you more comfortable doing? Is there one that you feel that you're better at?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, probably bass, just because I've been doing it for longer.
Right.
That just kind of comes naturally. Like I don't really think about it too hard. Whereas being a lead vocalist is a little bit more new to me. So I feel like I'm always learning. I'm still getting like, coaching and always looking to pick up new techniques and things like that. So I'm really enjoying it. But that part is newer to me.
Yeah, singing's an interesting one because there's technique. You need to find your own voice, find out what you're capable of actually doing. But there's also a confidence element to it which you can't teach. You've just got to develop that over time.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it can be tough for some people because some people you can really see that they've got a talent when it comes to singing, but the lack of confidence might hold them back. And
Yeah.
it's a shame sometimes, but if you can find your confidence, sometimes you maybe need to have the right band behind you as well. But
Absolutely.
as long as it all clicks into place, it's really good. But for the band Dear Fang, when did that start? When did it come about?
We played our first live show of April last year. So we've just been playing live for pretty much exactly a year.
Right.
And before that, we had started writing the songs in like the probably summer, fall before that. And we started tracking them last January.
Right, so
So,
a
yeah.
relatively new band. So tell me about the members that are in the band. Who are the members and how did they come into the band?
Yeah, so like I kind of mentioned before, the main creative force of the band is myself and my partner Jay. We do all of the like writing. We have done all the up until now all the recording, like all the tracking for that. And yeah, we kind of come up with all the songs and the lyrics. It's nice because we share the lyric writing. So I write about half of them and then Jay writes about half of them. He does all the like graphic design and like a lot of our shirts and posters and things like that too. So for us, it's kind of this real creative outlet. And then we have two amazing players that play with us live. Eric Redling's our drummer and Cody Linthcombe's our lead player. And they were both pals of ours. I worked with Cody for a while and I went to high school with the drummer Eric. So yeah, so it's been really great having them on board and they're just fantastic. They've really stepped up to the plate and learning all the parts and they come to all the shows. And if one of them can't make it, we do have usually an alternate drummer as well. His name's Brett. He's awesome. And, yeah, he's played one show and he's going to do a couple more with us throughout the summer, just in case some of the other members can't make it. So everyone's got busy schedules and we're all working and everything. But yeah, they're fantastic.
But bands are interesting because obviously you need everyone to be on the same page. You know, they need to be able to have the same amount of musical talent so that everybody can hold their own. But
Yeah.
it's also finding the right personalities because that can really make or break a band. I've seen it
Yes.
of times and I've been part of it many times as well. And but it sounds obviously like yourself and your other half have got a good setup that you can bounce ideas off of each other as well to get to the end product, so to speak.
Yes. Yeah. It works out very well, and our personalities all mesh very well together. We have a blast anytime we've gone on the road for shows, and just anytime we get to hang out and practice. It's just fun. We're just having a blast. So definitely the right personalities.
You briefly mentioned there, obviously, with regard to the sort of songwriting. So the band songwriting process, is that yourself and your other half writing the songs, or do you kind of come up with the skeleton of the song? And do you get the other guys in to add their part? Like, how do you go about writing a song? Do you have a process?
Yeah, we kind of have a bit of a structure. So we actually we've been writing the skeleton of the song. We have a program that we just put some drum loops together to get the idea of where we want it to go. So Jay's great at that. So he usually lays down the drum tracks, and then he'll put down the chord progressions. He'll usually come up with that. And then to that, I'll lay down my bass. I'll play with that for a while. I'll usually take some recordings at home, be driving around in the car singing, trying to come up with my vocal melody. So I'll come up with the melody, and then one of us will write the lyrics, put that to it, and then we'll bring that to the other two. And sometimes Eric's got some input on the drums, and maybe this could happen here or here. Yeah. And then Cody, has been doing his lead parts now on top. So I'm working out.
It always makes me laugh because we're obviously at other sides of the world but
Yeah.
I'm doing the same the same process as yourself.
Are you?
Now, obviously, programming drums, your other half, Jay, he must have the patience of a saint because it can be very tedious,
Yes, it can.
as I know myself. But he's obviously, we kind of do it similar to get the basic structure of the song. And, there's always the test of putting it into the car and going a drive and kind of coming up with ideas, what works, what doesn't work. And
Yeah.
am I right in saying, does lyrics come last? So is it the music first and lyrics last?
Yes, for us, for me, I find it's important to come up with the melody, a strong melody first, and then I'll usually fit the words into the rhythm of the melody that I've chosen. I feel like, I want the melodies and all the chords and all that to come first, and then I'll kind of, okay, now what do I feel like this is going to be about, and then we'll kind of go from there with the lyrics.
And see your lyrics. See if someone was to take them aside from the music and simply just read them, would it make sense? Would they know exactly what you're singing about, or do you like to try and keep it a little bit more vague?
A little bit of both. Like for this band specifically, we wanted to take on writing about some subjects that are a little bit heavier, sometimes a little bit more hard to talk about. So some things that we have written about so far are some mental health struggles, things like depression, anxiety, some political issues, things like that. So we do want to tackle those subjects, and we feel those things are important to talk about, but we don't want to be too on the nose. Like we do try to keep it a little bit vague, and we want to keep it vague enough as well that anyone who's going through something, that they can relate and kind of feel that speaks to them.
Yeah, it's interesting because songs, they can evolve as well. So you write the song, and in your head you might know what it relates to for yourself. Mm-hmm. You play it to 10 other people. The 10 other people might take something different away from it, and then the song itself might evolve over time. So if you've been in the game long enough, you might write a song, but it might mean something different to you 10 years later than what it meant when you first wrote it. It's interesting that the great thing with music is there isn't a right or a wrong, but it's different for everybody. But it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's one of the coolest things about music, and you can write a song that means exactly like you say, something specific to you. And you can feel that every time that you play it, and then to someone else it might relate, completely to a different situation that they've been through, and it can really speak to them in a different way. So I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a band over here, they split up, but I think they're coming back, called Oasis.
Oh yeah,
and they were really, really big in the sort of the 90s and the early noughties, and they had this really, really big song, and someone had asked the guitarist who wrote the song, he wrote the music and the lyrics, and they'd said, what does it mean? And he's saying it doesn't mean anything. He says that word rhymed with that word. It sounded good when I played it. But all these years later, you see people actually analysing it. Mm-hmm. But of course, they're analysing it because it means something different to them. But the explanation that he gave was simply, I don't know what it means, but when I play it and 50,000 people sing it back to me, it means something to the 50,000 people.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's kind of, as I was saying, there's no right or wrong, but he probably wrote it. I think he wrote the song in about 10 minutes, and some of the lyrics are odd but he's saying it rhymed, it sounded good, but all these years later, people look into it in a lot more depth, and it means something, or they put meanings to it, and it's interesting how music is viewed by different people.
Absolutely. That's so interesting. I actually didn't know that. And yeah, it's really funny. And it's funny because sometimes something does just sound good, and maybe they chose it because it just sounded good to them. Yeah. And then everyone sort of wants to find meaning in it, and maybe it really does mean a lot to someone else that they take something out of it. And
for Dear Fang, how are you guys recording? What's the recording process for the band?
Yeah, so our we have two EPs that are out now. They're streaming everywhere, anywhere you want to stream them. Those we have tracked with our pal named Scotty Komar, and he was living in Toronto. He's in Burlington now, which is nice and close for us. So for that, we brought the drums to him, and then we tracked our guitar and bass. He took on a really nice like producer role for those parts as well. So he added leads to the songs that are out now. He kind of came up with those lead parts, and he had some advice here and there.
Yep.
Maybe you could add a pause here, or he kind of would help us or reorganize the songs in a way that would be quite catchy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we went up, we kind of did all our instrumentals at once. And then as the year progressed, because we were new coming out, we wanted to just continuously drop singles as opposed to coming out with one full album right off the hop. And that's really helped us because it's given us things to continuously post about and get excited for, and content, and yeah, it catches new listeners every time you have a new single out. So that's been a really helpful way to go with us just coming out of the gate. So yeah, we did that, and then we did our kind of bass and guitar all at once, and then every time we wanted to release a single, I would go back up and lay the vocals down, and then we'd go from there.
Yeah, it's interesting how bands are releasing music now, because obviously years ago you would write an album, you'd write eight to 10 songs, record, you would put the album out, and a lot of bands now are doing it similar to yourself, where they're releasing either singles or EPs because you can get it done quicker, you can focus on those songs, keep the momentum going, because you can have 2 or 3 releases across the year. And it's funny because depending on what age you are, I think, I'm in my 40s, so I'm still, in my mind, I still like the idea of having an album. But I don't know if it's, also understand why bands do that way. And I also have kind of got into the way of writing EPs rather than albums, just because an album takes too long to do. But it's funny though, because I had someone on recently who's older than myself, from Scotland, and they spent ages, they wrote this album, and they actually got physical copies made as well, so although it's available on streaming platforms and you can download it, they wanted like maybe a batch of 50 CDs just so they could hold it in their hands. And, and I see why they done it, because I'm a bit like that as well.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, after it, he spent about a year recording it, got it mixed, got it mastered, he sent it away, got it returned. He had all the CDs, and then he realised he didn't have a CD player because no one has a CD player to listen to the bloody thing now. So,
yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's funny. For our EPs, we are getting vinyl pressed. So it's coming. So we actually lumped, like online, the tracks, they're kind of lumped into 2 4-track EPs. Yeah. And then on the vinyl, we've combined them into one cohesive album. So side A is the first EP and side B will be the second EP with a bonus track as well.
Is there a big resurgence of vinyl across in Canada? There's definitely here in Scotland there is.
Yes, big time. Yeah. Feels like no one buys CDs anymore. Nobody has CD players, like you say, but everyone's buying vinyl. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we've got quite a collection going.
Vinyl seems to be huge here at the moment. Whether it will last, I don't know, because, you've got trends that come and go. The only problem that you've got here now, though, and I don't know if it was the same in Canada, that when lockdown happened with COVID, a lot of the music shops, along with everything else, closed down and they opened, so you've got a lot less music shops. But vinyl's just it's even more popular now than maybe it was before. But it's quite cool. I love seeing like the big album cover, and I still think artwork is important nowadays.
Oh, us too, yeah.
And obviously it's your other half that does the artwork for the band.
Yes, yeah, he had a great time putting the vinyl art together.
Does he just come up with ideas and show it to yourself? I like
Yeah,
that. I don't like that. Do more of that. Do less of that.
yeah, it's like pretty much exactly. It will be sitting at home watching TV, and he's got an idea in his head, and he'll,
Yeah.
okay, how about this? How about this? And yeah, I'll give advice and input, but he's the main
Yeah.
engine behind all that. Yeah.
So we're obviously relatively still early in 2025. So what is the plans for the band for the rest of the year?
Yeah, we've got a number of shows coming up. We're pretty excited for the summer to come. We just played a show on Saturday that was quite successful, and we've got a whole bunch coming up in May and in June and all throughout the summer. We've got a couple we've even booked a few in September, so our summer is really filling up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after that, I mean, we're writing a lot of new material, so we're gonna try to get started on the new stuff as soon as we can as well.
So it sounds like it's going to be more of the same.
Yes, yeah, just playing. We just want to play as much as we can. We're having a blast, and yeah, we really we just want to get to as many ears as we can. So we're trying to do a lot of our surrounding cities here in Ontario, and then we'll see from there how far we can get. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, Lauren, we've obviously been very technical up to this point for any musicians or bands that are watching. So what I like to do before we finish up is I'll ask you some fun questions.
Yeah.
You can just tell me what you think. So imagine that you could go anywhere in the world. You could go back in time, anywhere in the world, big concert, small concert. I'll let you decide. What is the one concert that you wish you could have attended?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Oh, I mean, one of my number ones was we got to see The Cure last year, and that was pretty amazing. I'm really glad we caught that because I don't know how much longer they're going to be touring, but I really wish I could have seen them, in the beginning.
Yeah.
They were amazing live. His voice sounds amazing still. But yeah, just to kind of see them when it was starting out and they were becoming, bigger, I feel like that would be really exciting. That would probably be one of my big picks.
Do you have, in your mind, a perfect album from start to finish?
Another good question. I mean, Disintegration, I think, from The Cure is probably one of my favorites.
Cool.
Yeah.
If you could, it might be The Cure again here, we'll wait and see, but thousands of great songs written and recorded across the years by various different bands and artists. What's the one song that you wish you could have sat in the recording studio to witness the band record it?
Oh my God. It might be them again. I don't know. Like Pictures of You is probably one of every time I hear that, I just want to cry. Yeah, that's a great question. There's so many classic bands that I just wish I could be there and to see their creative process and how they navigate, recording and getting it all tracked and interacting with each other. And oh man, I just wish I could go back in time and be a fly on the wall, for so many bands.
Fascinating to be able to do that. And the list of bands and musicians for myself, endless.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's almost impossible to pick, yeah.
Last question for yourself. Mount Rushmore, who is the 4 bands, today at least, for yourself, that you see as perfection?
Oh my gosh.
I'm saying it's for today because if you're like yourself and many of the other guests, your answers could change tomorrow and the next day and the next day. But for today, who's the 4 that pop into your mind?
I mean, right now we've been listening to a lot of a band called Superheaven. They're one of our biggest influences, and every time I put their records on, they've got some new songs coming out, and every song, their albums that are out right now, it's like they're absolutely they're a no skip album. Like every song is just friggin' awesome. Everything about it, they're one of my top picks. The Cranberries are probably another one of my just classic favorites. Her voice, yeah, everything. I've done a bit more of a deep dive in the last couple years, really getting into some of the songs that I didn't know as well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There's so many. Balance and Composure right now is another one of my favorites. They're incredible.
Yeah.
And another one, probably Smashing Pumpkins.
Right, okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
And a question I meant to ask you before, obviously with your bass and vocals, who are your main influences? Who do you look up to?
I mean, like those four bands I just named are highly influential for us. We've listened to a lot of, classic stuff. I've talked about the Pumpkins a few times, Nirvana for sure, Cranberries, Deftones.
Does your other half have the same musical taste, or when you go on a car journey, is it a fight over who plays what?
I'm really lucky because we've got very similar tastes, and we listen to everything. Jay played in a lot of punk and pop punk bands for years, and we love all of that stuff. We love a lot of the more sort of synth poppy stuff that we got into. We still really enjoy listening to that. We listen to a lot of, Deftones and Nirvana and some real classics, 90s influences. And there's a ton of bands that we've been listening to that are currently touring, like Super Heaven, Soft Cult, Balance and Composure. There's a whole bunch that we just love. And we're really lucky because we have a lot, like very similar tastes. So it's nice. We go on a road trip, and that's the best part, is just blasting tunes. And
Well, Lauren, thank you so much for making a little bit of time out of your morning
Thank
to come
you.
on the podcast and speak to myself all about music and obviously about the band as well. I do wish you all the continued success in the future. For anyone that is looking for the band's EPs, it's available on all the normal streaming platforms. But they can check you guys on social media, give you a follow, and they can then check out about the vinyl and anything else that you've got on the go as well. But if you've ever come across to Scotland, give me a shout and I'll come along and cheer you on.
Absolutely. We'd love that.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you so
pal.
much. Thank you for having me.